Hey guys, Dan Greer, Eclipse DOT. It is just right at the start time for our safety meeting today, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Excuse the background, I'm sitting in my truck at a job site waiting to get going for the day. So let's go ahead and jump in. First thing we're going to talk about today is going to be driver inspections, daily vehicle inspections. So what I want to encourage you to do today is encourage everybody to get out and do a vehicle inspection. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we do vehicle inspections. The first one is because, well, we all need to do that inspection every day for our own good. We want to make sure that that vehicle that we're driving for the day is ready to go down the road without any issues. Who's ultimately responsible for that vehicle? The driver is. That's the big thing. And that's what we got to remember, and that's what we need to tell everybody so that they really understand that the driver is ultimately responsible for the vehicle they're operating. We check on our vehicle inspections. First thing we always want to check is the fluids. Make sure we have the right fluids in there. Make sure that they're at the proper operating levels. If we have to add fluid to something, making sure that we're putting the right fluid in. We're not putting a 5-weight oil on top of a 40. We're not changing the kinds of oil we're putting in there, yellow to Chevron or whatever, antifreeze coolant is the same way. We're not going to put gold coolant on top of green, or we're not going to put green on top of pink, or pink and green. We're going to always put the same coolant that's in the system to top it off. One of the other things we like to do is get under the hood and check, see if all the belts are tight, make sure there's no leaks on anywhere in the engine. While we're in there, I also look at the water pump, the alternator, all the wiring, all the air hoses. If it's an air brake or air equipped vehicle, I like to check the air compressor. I always go to the steering box and check that steering box to make sure that it's in good condition, no leaks, that it's mounted securely, it's not cracked, no welds on it that aren't from the factory. Work my way down into the suspension from there. Always check the shocks for, any kind of oil leakage. Make sure that the bolts that mount on top and bottom are tight. Check my spring hangers on the front. If you're in a newer pickup, a lot of those guys have coil springs on the front. And so the way you check those is, again, there's a bolt at the top, a bolt at the bottom for the mounting. You check to make sure those are there. You also check the condition of the springs themselves. If they're leaf springs, make sure they're not shifted or scissoring. If they're coils, make sure that they're not too weak or loose. There's no cracks, breaks, stress marks, that kind of stuff. As we continue, our way out, we always want to check the brakes. Now, we're going to talk about two different brake systems here real quick. The first is air brakes. So I always check the air hoses going into air brakes. And then from there, I go ahead and move my way into the slack adjuster. I make sure that the brake chamber is there, that the C-clamp around the chamber is tight. The slack adjuster is in place. That slack adjuster does not have more than 1 inch of play. Okay, that's a big thing. I want to make sure that it doesn't have too much play, that the pin is there from the push rod that connects it to the slack adjuster, and the cotter pin is in that as well. From there, I follow it into the S-cam, and then from that S-cam out to the brakes, I make sure those rollers are in good condition. The drums are in good condition. Now, some of these new trucks have got disc brakes on them. There's really not much of a slack adjuster in those disc brakes to look at. That can is turned sideways compared to the drum brakes. And then when you get to the disc brakes, you're checking the pad and the rotor instead of the drum and the shoe. You're still looking for the same thing, no less than a 1/4 inch of pad left on your pad or on your shoe. They call that worn dangerously thin. Okay, and if it's a rotor, you're looking for major grooves, heat warpage where it might be bent. Drums are exactly the same way, cracks, okay, heat warpage, no major grooves. Then I go ahead and work my way out to the rim. When I'm checking the rim, I'm looking for like welds, where it's hit a curb, something where it's been in, where make sure the bead is in good condition, that there's no cracks or breaks in the rim. Then I move up to the tire. I check the condition of the tire all the way around it. Make sure that it's in good condition. There's no ABCs, abrasions, bulges, or cuts. Okay. Go ahead and move my way to the tread. On the front tire, we have to have at least 4/30 seconds of tread depth. Now, in real life, that's 1/8 of an inch. The government just doesn't know how to reduce fractions, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, so we're going to go ahead and check that tire and make sure that it doesn't have more than, that it has more than 4/30 seconds of an inch of tread. The tread is flat. There's no major cupping. Then go ahead and check the condition of the outside of the wheel as well. Move my way down, check the rim for the same things. I like to say BBCs, breaks, bends, or cuts, cracks, whatever. That's what I'm looking for. Anything metal. ABCs for anything that's rubber, abrasions, bulges, cuts. Okay. Go ahead and work my way down to my lug nuts. I lay hands on my lug nuts, make sure that they're tight. Check the valve stem. I go ahead and look at the inflation on the tire. Put a tire gauge to it at least once a week, if not more, to make sure that your tire is good. And then if you have a hub seal with oil in it, make sure that you check that oil level. Go ahead and work your way down the side of the vehicle, and as we move that, we're going to check our mirror, make sure it's mounted, tight, secure the door, make sure it's good, that it opens, it closes, the handle works. Go ahead and check the weather stripping around the door, work our way down some more. We get underneath the vehicle a little bit. We're going to look at the frame. We're looking for BBCs in the frame, driveline, same thing. Make sure that the U-joints are in good shape. As we work our way back, the exhaust is right there. We're going to check the exhaust for pinholes all the way back. There's a few keys for exhaust. If it's an older vehicle, black soot indicates a pinhole. On the new ones, though, the ones with DEF, it's actually a white powdery substance that you're going to find, not necessarily the black soot. So that would indicate an exhaust leak if there's white powdery substance. Go ahead and work my way back some more. I'm going to check that back axle the exact same way I check the front. Everything from the suspension, the brakes, everything is the same, with one difference. The tire can have a 16th inch of tread or 2/32 on the back, okay? So you got to have double tread on the front than you do on the back for minimums. After that, I go ahead and work my way around the back of the truck. I check the mud flaps, all the light lens conditions all the way around. What I do every morning is I turn my headlights on, I turn my hazards on, I walk around the truck, I kick my hazards off, turn a blinker on, check it, check the other side blinker, and then I'm good to go for my lights. It tells me that they're all operational. I used to just kick my hazards on because it's the same bulb. But you know what? If the turn signal doesn't work, if something's wrong in the switch, the light may work, but the switch may be broke. So I like to check my turn signals now as well. If I'm pulling any trailer, I make sure that I check the coupling of that trailer, and we're going to go into that another day. Really, what I want to talk about the most right now is just why it's so important to do a vehicle inspection. One is because you're responsible for that vehicle. So you want to make sure that you're taking time to do it. You're making sure that you're doing what's right by checking that vehicle every single day that you operate it and making sure that that vehicle is ready to go out, because you are ultimately responsible for that. That means that if something goes wrong, you could be held liable for what happens. And we don't ever want anything to go wrong, but we have to always expect the best, plan for the worst. So that's why I always do a vehicle inspection every day on any vehicle I'm operating. And you know what? It's funny. I've been at other jobs before whenever I was driving all the time, and they would actually change the truck I drove every day because I would report what was wrong with it and fix the little things that I could fix on my own. So it kind of stunk, but I always got thrown into a different truck. And the reason for it was because I did good vehicle inspections, and so they wanted me to check their fleet out little by little as I went through everything. All right, guys, it's pretty simple today. Do a good job at your vehicle inspections. Don't do it because I told you to do it. Don't do it because your boss tells you to do it. Don't do it because the government says you have to do a post trip every day on a commercial vehicle. Do it for your own sake. Do it so you know what you're operating is good. The theory that I always have lived by is that my wife and kids drive on the same road that I drive on every day. So do your wife and kids. They drive on the same roads that truckers are driving on every day, and the people operating commercial vehicles drive on every day. How would you feel if you didn't check your lug nuts and one of your duals came off and went through the windshield and injured, or even worse, killed somebody in your family because they didn't do a good enough vehicle inspection? Not a freak accident, but because they'd lost a bunch of lug nuts and then the other ones came off going down the road, and that wheel came up and hit your vehicle, hit your wife's vehicle while she's driving, hit your husband's vehicle while he's driving. How would you feel? How would you feel being on that side of it? Second off, how would you feel if you were the driver of that vehicle and you had to live with that the rest of your life? All right, guys, that is it. That's all I've got to say for today. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.